So for those of you at home, yes, obviously I personally think this was the hardest one to rewrite. Can I just say that up front?
Yeah, it can be. 1 second. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. Glad to have all you guys here. We are currently live with Lore Runner, going to be rewriting Star Trek 4. Going to be a fun-filled activity. But sorry, you were saying it's going to be a hard time.
I just said 4 was the hardest one for me because the problem with plural with 4 are it's a really good movie that is total nonsense.
Right.
And makes no damn sense and arguably doesn't fit with anything.
And they require you not to think about it.
Yeah, like it pretty much mandates turning off your brain. I've seen the behind-the-scenes footage and the interviews where they talk about how whales are super smart, and it's so sad how humans don't understand and appreciate. There's a line that we're absolutely ejecting. And I'm with Sci-Fi Debris on this. There's this one bit where Spock says, only human arrogance would assume the message must be meant for man. I wanted to smack him in that scene. So to quote Sci-Fi Debris, if I'm here and my door there's a knock at the door and I go out and there's a pizza delivery guy there, it's probably for me and not the goldfish.
Right. Well, and that was my thing. Even it's like you automatically assume that it's for another species. It's like it's insane. He instantly goes to animal. It's instantly.
Of course, it has to be. That's the only thing that makes sense, apparently.
Right. And I mean, especially when you consider the probe is passing all this technology that has nothing but humans on it, and humans are trying to talk to them. It's like you think maybe they're trying to talk back. And I forget the dialogue, even though I watched it about 20 minutes ago. Do they even assume that it's for humans? Are they just trying to respond to it?
No, they do assume, everyone except for Spock assumes it's from humans. That's the other thing, by the way. We were actually just talking about this earlier today. I call it because plot. But there's several expressions of because plot. And one of the more obvious ways is having a character show up in character and saying something, basically presuming something, and presenting it as if it's true so that the audience is like, oh, well, that has to be true, even if there's no reason for that. There's no logic, there's no backing or whatever.
Right.
And I bring that up because that's exactly what Spock does in this movie. He's like, "Oh yeah, no, it's the whales," and everyone's like, "Well, it's got to be the whales because Spock said it, because he's the smart one." They literally established that he's the smart one in everything he's ever in ever. Where's the frickin'? Why is it not letting me do this?
Shout out to my boy Gregory Casamento, who doesn't have basic logic or understanding. F in the chat for his brain. So we're going to be, for those who know, who don't automatically assume, we're going to be rewriting and discussing the various Star Trek series and movies and kind of Babylon 5ing it, just to break it down and try to make it a little bit more cohesive. Like I said, some things we're going to keep, some things we aren't. We just try to have it make a little bit more sense, and we have fun with it. Because, it's okay to talk about and analyze and be critical of things you love.
Wait, you can actually criticize things you love?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Gregory is just, votes red. Oh, wait, we can't talk about that. Never mind. So, getting back into it. That's an inside joke and a jab to see how many other people I can piss off. So only you and me get the inside joke, and those who are fans will get pissed off. See, everybody wins. I love what I do for a living. All right, so jumping right into it, though. If you haven't seen, there's going to be update videos. I haven't gotten all of the update videos out, but there's also the live streams. And so we've done 3 movies for now. We are going to be doing all of the movies and all of the things sans like disco era Trek. Just to give a quick update before we really get into it, because some people haven't seen it or this is your first time here, there are a couple of changes in the universe that we make that can have some impacts that aren't in the original. So, for instance, transporters require both an entrance and an exit point. So, if you transport without two pads, it's really, really dangerous. Like 60% chance you're going to die on a good day. Generally, you have to have both a as I said, 2 pads on either side. Now, when we get into later Trek, when they're using the enhancers, that lowers the percentage. So it'll go from like 60% to say 30% chance of death or whatever. But for it to be a lock, you have to have 2 pads. Universal translators, they don't instantly know what's going on, unlike we see in the other in the universe. It takes time to for them to interact or understand if it's a completely new species. Prime Directive, we're doing the TOS version or the pragmatic version. Replicators, certain things can't be replicated. That is something that has been in the Star Trek universe, but is kind of iffy. They sometimes go in and out of it. Definitively, certain things can't ever be replicated. For holodeck, it's the same power because Voyager sucks and never should have done that. Klingons have honor like we see in Undiscovered Country forever and always, and consoles don't explode, just the area itself explodes. And then another thing that you and me talked about that we need to add to it, and that's one of the reasons I'm going through it beyond people just need to know. Time travel. When you're looking at the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 24th century, the technology for time travel does not exist. You cannot get any Klingon bird of prey, go around a sun, and it work. Now, we're going to explain how it does it in this one. But generally, that's just not a thing. Right? Runner, we're on the same page with that?
Listen, you just don't understand. There needs to be some kind of like brilliant scientist who actually previously owned this bird of prey, and that would perfectly explain how and why it was able to travel through time.
Exactly, and that's just done. It's done. But yeah, so I hope it's okay that I broke that down. I generally try to at the beginning, just because people will be like, well, why are you saying it goes that way?
Yeah, no,
so we'll be getting into it. Is there anything else you want to add before we break it down any further?
No, I think that's it. We are obviously we're gonna have to smooth over a few rough edges. I do want to mention one thing because my viewers bring this up every now and again. We don't always listen. We don't always add your guys' ideas to the things, but we always listen. At least I do. I don't know if he does. And you are more than welcome to kibitz, talk, discuss, share any ideas, thoughts, comments. Feel free to. We do have a general broad scope idea of where we're going because obviously we're not writing a movie. We're writing everything. As he pointed out, the Babylon 5 thing. We're trying to front load the heck out of this. So if we say something and you're like, why don't you just do this other thing? There's a decent chance that we're doing that on purpose in order to set up something else.
Yeah, if it doesn't make sense or it's like, well, you didn't include something, it's probably there. We're skimming through it. So if something seems like it's left out or it's not going to be used, there's a good chance it is going to be. And yeah, just to that point, we try to look at, but we can't like address every possible idea. We'd be here and never get through it. We barely get through it in just 2 or 3 of us. So you can if you want, and this is only if you want to. You don't have to. If there's any kind of donation, any kind of bits or any kind of super chat or anything like that, we will address what's in the super chat or bits. But just because yours isn't addressed because you didn't super chat it doesn't make it a bad idea. It's just we can't do everybody's idea. And yes, the cat is going to play a major role in it. So
the cat is actually the main character.
The cat is the main character. Getting into the movie itself, into the movie proper, the beginning of it is going to be somewhat similar to what we saw beforehand. Now, we kind of roughshod this, so I'll need a little bit of help with it. But basically, in the actual movie, in the OG, we had the Klingon and the Council. And he basically wanted Kirk's like head on a pike. So we're going to rewrite that just a little bit to show, what is it? It's 3 factions at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have we never came up with a name of House Evil guy.
No, we did. I even pulled it up right here. It's House DeGore.
House DeGore?
Yep.
All right, so you need
D''Ghor.
You know, you should pull up the bare bones rewrite and put it right there. That would
I could, but I'm busy trying to have some video game on my background.
Well, you can't do that though. That's not.
That's true, guys. I don't actually stream video games. Sorry.
You're not known for that, no.
No, not at all. I don't do video games.
So we have House DeGore, and these are basically going to be the effective evil Klingons, the Klingons that you generally see, the original series Klingons. They have a distinct lack of honor. They're really looking for a fight. And this they're just the quintessential bad guys. You'll then have a centrist group that I don't know that there's 100% that we've given what they want or what their whole
so
point
their
is.
general idea. Hang on. First, McDudd says, "Why not Duras?" The answer is actually very simple. There's already too much Duras.
Yeah, it's cliche.
We have plenty of evil houses to pick from. I actually specifically picked Dagor because they're a relatively ill-used house, so I figured, screw it, we'll use them. They're also pretty conniving and underhanded. The other thing, though, is Dagor tends to be more insidious, whereas Duras tends to be more straight up to the front, because Duras and the Duras family usually are idiots and are puppets for other people, whereas Dagor is actually doing stuff on their own right. So that's kind of more what we want here.
Right.
So, by the way, really quick, the people are asking what the heck. I'm a Zandalari Druid. See? Of course, you can't see my face. That's why I can turn into a bear and all that stuff. And by bear, I mean a turtle, obviously. Anyways, so the idea for the centrist faction, I call them the central voting bloc. It's a loose coalition of various houses in the middle who don't really want Gorkon to be in charge because they know that he's kind of a winds of change, we need to change everything kind of guy. But at the same time, they're very anti-Dagor because the Dagor faction, which has been gaining popularity, well, they're all about, and you say they're the default bad guys. I want to add a little layering to that, and I think we're on the same page, so I just want to say this out loud. I feel it's more like, rather than just being like, dead puppies, the idea is that the Dagor faction want to be Mongols, just to say it straight. They want to raid, they want to claim, and they want to prove themselves, and none of that is really long-term feasible for the same reasons it wasn't in real-life history. And indeed, there's actually, the Klingon Empire in existing canon actually went through that same transformation of being Mongols to being, an actual civilization.
Right.
So that's the general idea, is I want the Dagors to be, we need to get back to our Mongolian roots, kind of a deal. And
go back to the old ways, as they
say.
we
want to go back to the old ways, and we want to honor our ancestors by claiming victory and claiming everything we need from those who are simply too weak to hold on to it. That kind of thing, right?
Right.
So the central faction looks at both of those groups, and they're just like, And the whole point of a central voting bloc, if you don't understand this, is they don't have a majority. Both Gorkon and the Dagor factions outnumber them by quite a bit. But that's not the point, because neither of those two sides can make a move on the other as long as the third exists. There's actually a term for that, I can't think of it, but it's the balancing fulcrum point idea of politics, where the centrist group is effectively keeping... the idea here is that a civil war would have already broken out if not for the central group. That's the general idea. And they are actively trying to prevent said civil war from happening, which means they're not really good guys or bad guys. They're just interested in whatever they need to do to keep that balance. Obviously, since we're leaning into 5, which we're going to rewrite completely, and 6, which is they're going to fail at that, but you get the idea.
Right. Exactly. So, and to that point, again, and then you have Gorkon's group, which is wanting peace with the Federation, wanting a more civilized way of having honor. And so it starts out with House Dagor. You have a representative from House Dagor who is just going crazy in front of the Senate. Talking about how Kirk can't, as long as Kirk survives, there'll be no peace between the Federation and the Klingon Empire. Then you will have Saval and a representative, either Gorkon himself or a representative of Gorkons arrive. And we have a similar scene to what we had before, where Gorkon and Saval talk about how even if Kirk shares some blame, this is not something worth going to war over. And in fact, one of the things that'll happen is the Dagor representative will be very upset, saying, why is a representative of Gorkon there? And the Gorkon representative will point out how his house has slowly started to move up through the ranks. He's even he's even having a challenge to become the next chancellor. And so we're building into the next movie where he actually is chancellor. And ultimately, it's going to end the same way, with the Dagor representative saying that they have enough power or at least enough military might that they can start a war between the Federation and the Klingons, and that something has to happen to Kirk or there's going to be a war, Gorkon becoming Chancellor or not, and then storms off. So that scene is what we would have at the beginning. And that really is more just a setup for the next movie, because they don't do anything with that in this movie. That's all we have. I don't even understand why it's necessarily there. It adds beyond getting Kirk back to Earth, but they could have done that in so many other ways. So that's the reason for rewriting that, just to give it an actual reason to exist more than anything else. And so then it moves into the next scene, I believe, actually happens with Sulu on the Excelsior, for those who aren't aware. In the last movie, Sulu was actually on the Excelsior as the XO, and we left him there, so he wasn't with the crew of the Enterprise. You were raising your hand like I wasn't supposed to say something.
I'm sorry, guys. That's a sound alert happened, which shouldn't have in-game. I apologize for the noise.
Did you get donation? Is that what happened?
I did get a donation. That wasn't the noise.
Oh. You want to talk about what happens with Sulu?
So the idea here is that I know, I'm sorry, it's WoW. I'm not even sure which add-on that is. Whatever. I think it's already dead. The idea is Sulu is currently the XO. The general thrust of this is I want the captain of the Excelsior to die in the events that's about to happen. So if I miss up and just kind of start talking about Sulu being in charge of the Excelsior, it's because he's going to be the de facto captain, because he's going to take command when the captain dies very quickly. Okay, but at the beginning, he's still the XO, still recovering from the end of 3. Carol Marcus is still on the Excelsior as of the beginning of 4.
Right.
So the idea is Sulu is heading back. Okay, actually, rewind a second. So I want to add one other little layer of nuance to what's going on with the Klingons, because political writing is kind of my bag, apparently, according to some of my viewers. The Dagor faction is going to straight up threaten war in the meeting. At that point, the Gorkin representative, doesn't have to be Gorkin himself. In fact, I'd actually rather it not be Gorkin himself. But the Gorkin representative is going to straight up be like, what? You can't do that. You do not have the authority, the leadership, the might, the material. And the Dagor faction guy is going to point out, all we have to do is start attacking Federation ships en masse, and war will happen. The implication there being the wonderful, unsteady nature of how these kind of treaties tend to work, right?
Right.
Anywho.
Well, and it could be interesting, too, that, like you said, like war would happen. We'll just start attacking Federation ships, and then we have so many agreements or alliances with other houses that even if they don't want to be a part of it, they'll have to be a part of it. And then, though, if you choose not to fight, then half the Empire is going to be fighting the Federation, which, again, would cause problems and stuff like that. Could mean the end of it. So, in a way, he gets to the point that you would have to join us in this fight or see the destruction of the Klingon Empire. Mm-hmm. I think would be interesting.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. So, the next thing... this leads immediately. So, do we want to jump to Vulcan and then jump to Sulu, then jump to Vulcan?
Well, what I think would be interesting is because I never thought that's where you were going with it. Like during the fight, and again, they did this in the '60s, so why couldn't we? During the fight, he says, you couldn't start a war. Why would you do that? And then he presses, like, let's say he hits a button. The Decor representative hits a button. Mm-hmm. And a ship decloaks. Like, we could even have it above Earth, have the Excelsior there at that point, above Earth, and it just slams into the Excelsior. It just attacks the Excelsior. And then he points out, he says, that was just a volley. So, if we could do that with one ship, what do you think happens when we start doing that across the Federation?
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I think that would work.
And then that gets Sulu where we want him to be, too.
Well, I'd kind of rather they hit the Saratoga instead of the Excelsior, but other than that, I'm completely with you.
Okay, so the Saratoga is the one that takes the hit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, but if you don't want to do that, we had another idea for the Saratoga, too.
Okay, the general idea is... hang on, you didn't actually answer me, I'm sorry. Do we want to jump to Vulcan then back, or do we want to stay on Sulu for the time being?
Well, that I thought that was because I mean that involves Sulu directly right there.
My point is from a director's perspective, do we want the camera to bounce back and forth until we go to the past, or do we want to do one then the other than the past?
Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna leave that.
I kind of like the idea of bouncing, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
But that's just me.
yeah, we can go that route. I like.
All right, so we bounce over to Vulcan, and Spock still has the cybernetic implants, and he's under. It's most of the same general beats you've seen in the actual movie. He's taking the test. He's trying to make sure his brain works properly. You know, just generally trying to manage that and deal with that. And he's still got all his smarts, but it's very clear that Spock is still just not quite right. There's still something off about him. And we do still have the "how do you feel" line. In fact, if you want to tell the line that his mother says, because it was your idea.
Yeah, so one of the things that I liked was the back and forth when Spock was taking those tests to see how he was doing. And then the computer, of course, asks how you feel, and it confuses the hell out of him. And he has a back and forth with Mom. And she talks about how, the humans decided the sake of the one was better than the sake of the many and how they felt. And Spock says humans are quite illogical. And Mom says, she'd say something to the effect of, yes, they are very illogical, but does that mean they're wrong? Or do they make the wrong choices? Or something to that effect. Yeah, they are illogical, but are they wrong? And then you would just have a cut from that. We wouldn't see the answer or anything. Yeah. I think that would have really cemented that scene. It was a good scene, but I think it would have cemented it.
I agree. That's why we're talking about it and such. Yeah. Wow, it's not layering me properly. So that we cut to that scene.
Oh, hey, sailboat real quick, or whatever our word was going to be. I'll be right back. Okay. We talked about it. Sorry.
Now that he's gone, I can talk freely on his show. You need to, God, I can't even make fun. I don't know how to do it. I'm terrible at it. Mockery. There you go. We're done. The next idea, I'll go ahead and keep talking, because the next general idea is we're going to jump back to the Saratoga and the Excelsior, which by now has basically made the trip back to Earth. Sorry about the noise again. I really don't know how to turn that off. What add-on is that? WBT. I don't know what add-on that is. Oh, it's World Boss Tracker. Duh. I didn't know I still had that on. There it is. I'll go ahead and do that. The idea, I just realized that your viewers, that is to say, Lower Lotus viewers, they don't see the game. I'm playing WoW on my screen. Yes, I can see that chat, Tesla. I have both chats up. Yes, this is totally WoW Classic, Aceros. How did you know? All right. We cut back to Sulu and the Saratoga. And the idea is that what happens is the Saratoga is specifically attacked by a Klingon ship, which may or may not actually be the Dagor faction. There's several ways we could do this. There's several specific nuances we could pull out of this. The idea is to get across the idea that whatever Klingon ship is there, they're not really sanctioned to be there. Maybe they're actually a rogue element. Maybe it's one captain who wanted honor and glory. Maybe it's someone who's a privateer who's working on behalf of one of the factions. Yeah, the general idea is that they are not there on behalf of the actual Klingon Empire. As a result, they attack the Saratoga. Now, this is why I was saying we could have the Saratoga be the one that's attacked. And the Dagor representative could, you could have a moment where the actor who is the Dagor representative could hear the news in the Federation Assembly that the Saratoga is attacked, and he just reacts for a second, like, and then it's like, wait, no, of course, it all makes perfect sense. Of course we did that, and we could do that again. The idea being that he's not even sure which ship that is, and he's not even sure who's captaining it, and he's just kind of rolling with it, right? This then would lead to a bit of a standoff. Yeah, I know, right, Von Falkenstein? The Twitch delay is so much less than the YouTube delay. It's ridiculous. The Klingons attack the Saratoga. The Excelsior is already nearby. The Excelsior responds, which leads to what is effectively a standoff, as the factions are just kind of staring at each other like, okay, now are we going to go ahead and deal with this? Should we attack them? How should we attack? And the whole point, I'm saying this so terribly because the idea is for this to be a very tense moment. The tension here needs to be on what this might lead to, not the immediacy. No offense to the Saratoga, but the stakes here are not one ship. The stakes here, he'll be back in just a second, Jesse, and then he'll be able to hit yes. The stakes are war, right? That's what's actually the problem here. So they're all trying to figure out exactly how this is going to go. Another Klingon ship will have to show up and start attacking the previous Klingon ship. I would still keep it vague whether or not who any given ship is actually working for. Which factions they are. It's effectively irrelevant, and that's the point. The point is, in character, even the people present aren't 100% sure who's doing what for whom. Cold War relation. In the middle of this conflict, that leads to... I was thinking a D7, Pete Oz. I was thinking a D7, personally. But in the middle of this conflict... that's where the probe shows up for the first time. Now, I like the idea of jumping back and forth between Sulu and Vulcan, because the idea here is that we could use these to spread out the story beats. Now, I'm going to describe what this means in a minute, but what would happen is they're in the middle of this tense standoff. The D7 shows up. The bird is there. Sulu's trying to get orders from Fed. We cut to the ambassadors back in the meeting hall. They're not 100% sure who's dealing with what they're dealing with it. It's a Miranda, McDudd. Oh, that doesn't have to be. We can make it whatever. It could be a constitution. I mean, traditionally it was a Miranda, so whatever. In the middle of all this, there's just this, boom, like this pulse of energy. Like you just feel the vibration through the screen, right? And this vibration leads to them being like, oh my God, what the heck was that? No, I take that back. Just the vibration, boom, hits. We cut back to Vulcan before we explain what the heck is going on here.
Agreed.
1 second. I took over your show, by the way. Sorry.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I know. I found that fascinating when I jumped into the YouTube video. I'm like, oh, it's just lore.
This is the lore show now. Ironically enough,
it's the real lore.
Hang on. I got to restructure my stuff to get Jessie on screen here. Hi, Jessie.
Hey, how are you?
I am irritated. They sent me the wrong CPU.
Oh no.
Like, I ordered the right CPU. They sent me the wrong one. I want to be very clear about the way I'm phrasing that. Jackasses. Hang on. Where the heck? There you are.
Hi. I exist.
Move this down here. There we go. Okay. We're back. We're good.
Yeah. By the way, hey Jesse, how are you?
Good. I was just dealing with some administrative stuff with my channel and a few other things. So.
You look quite fetching today.
I do?
You do, yes.
All right. Well, I thought I looked awful today. I just got out of the shower a while ago, so I'll take it.
It is quite fetching. Me and Runner got in an argument.
Yeah, we were fighting over you. We
were fighting over you.
What was the fight about?
No, we were fighting for your affections.
For dating you. Apparently you are his sister.
Yep.
That was an interesting piece that had been added. And
interesting?
I thought it was intriguing too. And you guys have a pretty good relationship, or so I'm hearing. Man, I bet he wishes I hadn't brought that up right now.
No, I don't feel uncomfortable at all right now. It's great.
I'm talking about Runner.
I say that jokingly, not in actuality.
There are 3 people on this call. Only one person is not uncomfortable about it, and so. Anyway.
Who is that? My cat? Is that my cat?
Yes, it's the cat.
I think
the cat's like, well, I don't care.
It's like, whatever. It's like, humans are weird. That's what the cat says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The cat's like, what is all this nonsense?
All right. So what were you talking about? Where were we at?
So I just finished describing the initial pulse.
Okay.
The standoff between the Saratoga, the Bird of Prey, the D7, the Excelsior, and it keeps jumping back and forth between them and the ships, and the delegates back on Earth. Delegates back on Earth aren't even 100% familiar with who's taking orders from home, and so there's a little bit of chaos going on there. And that then jump cut. So what happens? And this is very important.
Sorry, have we discussed who or what the probe is? I don't want to spoil.
We're not there yet. We're not there.
Okay.
Give me a sec.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil.
So what happens is there's this boom, this massive pulse, like I said, like I was describing earlier, where you can feel it coming through the screen, and then jump cut back to Vulcan. This is when we have the Chekhov scene. I'm thinking. Do you want to explain that one, Reloaded?
So we're at the point where they're receiving. They know things are going to hell in a handbasket. They're not really sure exactly what's going on or what to do. And a part of it you may have missed, Jesse, is so one thing that we're getting rid of for the universe is the ease of which time travel occurs. So you can't just jump in a random bird of prey and go around a sun and everything's great. So, but we're still
everything's just fine.
Yeah. So in the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th century, the technology just doesn't exist. The ability to do it just doesn't exist. But what's going to happen is we're going to, they're talking about it. They know the probe, something's happening with the probe, something's going on. They're not completely sure what to do about it. Apparently they use the word neutralize. They can't say destroy or kill in this movie. I'm not sure what was up with that. Everything was neutralized though. So they can't get close.
You can't kill things in a PG-13 movie, or what was it? Was it a PG movie? I don't even know what it was rated.
Yeah, it was just weird. The way they said it, I never noticed until this rewatch
that might literally be the reason that it's like, oh, if we say we kill something, we have to rate it higher.
Yeah, they use the term neutralize, but all right, we can't get close enough to it because it'll neutralize us. We we can't shoot from afar because
that's probably why
it'll miss it, and so they decide to think about it, or the group splits off to try to figure out what's going on. So you have Chekhov, who is either walking down a corridor or go to a turbo lift. I don't know if they showed a turbo lift on that, but you see him alone. And so it's going to be one of those shots where you see him walking alone, there's no one there. He looks away or looks off, the camera follows with him, he looks back, there's going to be a person there with him. Now, this person is actually going to be very familiar. This is going to be the person that we see in the past, the investigator. I don't know how long ago you watched it, but the investigator for the U.S. military, he, in the original, the OG, he has a conversation with Sulu. Sulu grabs the whatever stun gun remote control Klingon thing, tries to shoot him. It doesn't work. He throws it at him and then runs away. And so
then we have the escape sequence, and it's never brought up again.
Yeah, the U.S. military has and kept Klingon technology. And so it's never addressed ever again. And so he turns and looks. It's actually going to be that guy dressed in black. And at that point, I think he was going to say something like, I may have an answer to your problem, and that's going to cut there, and Chekhov's going to walk back.
So I think we should add one other little scene in there. I think for pacing, what we should do is we should have a quick scene. So we've just had the massive tension. We've just had the big pulse. Let's cut to Savik.
Okay.
Now, this is... I'm just going to kind of gloss over this because this is all character stuff. And there's no way to summarize character stuff without just actually showing the whole scene. But the idea here is that Savik is reaching out to Spock. Spock is not reaching back because Spock just isn't there. And there needs to be a little bit of a hint of her being, for lack of a better way to put it, heartbroken over the fact that her Spock might be gone forever, and the fact that he obviously does not return whatever affection she has for him. Now, they don't have to be romantic, by the way.
No, I would actually prefer. I actually kind of always liked the like mentor relationship that he had there, while also being like of different genders. That it was just purely like it was good representation of like a mentor relationship across genders, which you don't
exactly.
Really
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the general idea is that we need that character moment, and that it's a nice Jesus Christ! I turned off the add-on.
What are you playing, by the way? Is that
WoW? I'm playing WoW. Why did it get turned back on?
I really like that you play these games in the middle of this.
It helps me concentrate.
It seems
No,
to be. We seem really focused on this now that you're playing that. So
no,
I'm glad that-
I 100% get it. It's the same thing as like it's the same thing as like why people doodle. Like you actually can doodle because you actually it helps you pay more attention.
I'm just giving a hard time. I can't.
I know you're giving a hard time.
I understand. I watch YouTube videos while driving. It helps me focus. I'm completely there with you.
Maybe. To be fair, I did do. This is an aside, but this is terrible. Do not do this. I do not approve this. But way back when I had a job that was an hour and a half long commute and stop and go traffic, I would watch Amazon Prime shows in the car because it was stop and go. It's not like I was like.
Yeah, no, it's like I drive.
Yeah,
drive. I know exactly what you mean. Not that I've ever done that legally. You can't prove it.
I don't. I just cut out the middle.
Yeah, in fact, everything that I just said was just because of my personality. I didn't actually do that. That was a lie.
Nope.
Yep.
By the way,
This
greetings
is for entertainment value.
By the way, greetings from Sunday, Joseph Petrick. Thanks for supporting the channel. You know, I would totally play because I have World of Warcraft too. Because my girlfriend plays it. And that's the sole reason. I would totally play this with you if I couldn't focus like you, though. I would be so bad. I'd be like, oh my god, why can't I defeat this guy? It would be horrible.
And
That's why I don't play.
We're talking here. Lord,
We're trying to defeat a pig, a level 12 pig. I don't know how it's defeating us. We're level 60 anyway. Let's.
If I might continue really quick, so we have this nice, peaceful, low tier scene. You know, very very friendly, very fond. That cuts to the Chekhov scene, and the Chekhov scene, the way the Chekhov scene is exactly as you said. You know, it's the guy shows up, it's the dude. Obviously, we know that because we're telling you that, but the viewers at the time will just be like, "There's some random person." They might recognize him as Section 31. It's possible because we've already introduced them several times. Either way,
that could be an interesting. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that could be an interesting piece. Like we have Section 31 show up a couple of times. Let's use him. And that's his origin story.
Oh, I like that.
We have this. So he's the one that helped Chekhov get back to where he was or whatever. And then basically this movie is his origin story, like where he came from.
No,
we'll pull into it, Jesse. Wait. It's going to be awesome. You're going to love it.
So the way this ends up lining up then is we have our down-to-earth scene. We have our bit of foreshadowing scene, which kind of pulls a little bit of tension back in. We cut back to the Excelsior. Now, here's where the probe comes in finally. You'll notice this has all been Klingon politics and Spock recovery. What the hell's going on with the probe? So this probe shows up. Now we get a nice long sideways shot of it. It needs to be relatively close, and it needs to show that the ship is already damaged. That's important for reasons I'm not going to go into right now, but it does need to be visible. As we're looking,
the important question though is the ship phallic in nature?
I don't care. I'm leaning towards no, if I'm being honest.
I don't want to be a part of a place that doesn't have a phallic ship. I'm sorry.
I'm okay. Okay, get out. Then.
I don't.
Anyways,
that and Picard talking to his. No, we won't go back into that because I'll start laughing again.
Anyways,
oh my God. So we have the side swipe of the ship. I keep calling it a ship because I envision it being a little more ship-looky than probe. But at the same time, it is worth noting this is still a probe. You know, it's not some kind of doom ship or whatever. It's damaged. As it's going by, we see another one of those pulses. And you can literally see it even in space. And you see just this kind of wave of barely visible energy blasting off of it in all directions. The idea here, and I'm going to tell you straight, but what's going to happen is in character, we're going to cut to the Excelsior. The captain's dead. The initial hit just absolutely caused issues when they were completely unready for it. He's taken a really bad blow to the head. He's lying on the ground, unmoving. We're never even going to say he's dead. It's just going to be you're going to see his body in the back of the bridge. And Sulu's suddenly in charge. Sulu has taken command. He's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. The ship, the pulses that it's sending out are actually scans. So really brief. In real life, actual scanning is send out, check what comes back, right? In the most bare bones, basic level. I know that you already know this. I'm not trying to talk down. I apologize. But you get the idea. The idea here is that this thing, the send out it's doing, is so much energy and so powerful that it's actually frying weaker antennas and causing electrical feedback. It's not a complete EMP like it was in the movie, but it's still clearly causing some damage. Whoops. I didn't mean to aggro that. And so This thing is, and it's going off exactly, McDud, like kind of like a sonar. Every 45 seconds ish, we could workshop this. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, for the duration of this section of the movie, every X seconds, it would regularly, boom. And each one is just, and so what they're having is most of the external sensors are gone on the Excelsior. The Saratoga is probably dead in space. The Klingon ships, one of my viewers, Kira Whitenoise, had this great idea that the Klingons got to space first, but didn't keep going. So that's one of the reasons they were able to build such a spatial empire, and one of the reasons why they've been falling behind ever since. Mongolian reference again, by the way. So the Klingon ships, with their relatively more outdated tech and more reliance on the kind of old antennas and instruments, they're pretty much completely dead in the water. They can barely function. This whole time, Sulu and Crow are trying to figure out what the heck is going on, why this probe is here, and what it's causing. It gets to the part where they're like, okay, we need to keep they go down to engineering, and Sulu's talking to this guy. The ship is shaking, and he's like, okay, listen, I need you to find this freaking sensor, and I need you to keep it shielded until we're ready to deploy it, and I need you to install it, deploy it, and scan that ship in 45 seconds. Go.
Do it now.
Do it now. and that's exactly what happens. That's what we see happen. 45 seconds of these crewmen just frantically. Since Carol Marcus is there, I like the idea that she's involved in that. I figure that's the kind of thing she might be, at least capable of helping with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't need to be there. Just a little thing. Since remember, she's still on the Excelsior at this point. They get this thing up. They get the install. They start getting the scans, and they're like, "It's a message? What? No, it's some kind of scan." And they basically find out the information that I've just kind of told you guys, and they deduce a lot of the specifics. They find out, this is also when they find out that this thing is actually hitting all the way to Earth. That's the sheer level of the pulses. Anyone who's seen the movie Ad Astra, by the way, is part of where this idea comes from. I'm not going to go into it, but
without asking, is that movie worth watching? I was debating it.
If you're bored,
it felt like Interstellar light, to be honest.
I agree. Yeah, that's a good way to put that. It's nowhere near as engaging as Interstellar. But it does have some good ideas.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, you were saying.
So these pulses are reaching out to Earth. Remember, we're in Sol at this point. This is in system. These breaches are reaching Earth, and it gets to the point where they kind of are like, send this data out on open frequency. And at some point, Lord Reloaded had this idea. The comm officer was like, do you want us to send it to Earth? No, send it to everywhere on coded frequencies. No, just send this information out. General distress call in all directions, as hard and as far as we can.
Right.
And it also includes all the data they've gotten, including the recordings of what little information they could get from the pulses before their instrumentation was fried. This then leads to them making a call, because this whole time the Excelsior has basically been following the probe as it makes its course towards Earth. At this point, someone's like, "Sir, the Saratoga is having issues, and we haven't even heard from the Klingon ships." And he pauses for a moment. He realizes that he needs to make this judgment call, and he decides to turn around, get some distance from the probe, and try to rescue, enact rescue operations with the Klingons and with the Saratoga in order to make sure that they don't die. Little brick for the future with the Klingons, obviously, but you get the idea.
We could even have a little back and forth again with either one of the ensigns or a lieutenant or someone like the tactical officer. He's like, we have to do, why are we pulling back? We have to do something to help Earth. And he can come back like how? There's nothing we can do against
what exactly is,
yeah,
if
what
you have
would
a
you
suggestion, mister, I am listening.
And if you don't, let's go help people
if
we
you
can
don't,
help.
Get back to your station and get,
Yeah.
So
I think that'd be a nice little thing.
So we switch over, then we switch back to Vulcan. At this point, there's a little tidbit. I actually forgot to mention this. This is my fault. There's supposed to be a little tidbit where they mentioned that they actually have called to Earth to call for a ship now that they've checked up Spock, now that they're sure he's okay. And they're like, okay, we're ready to go and stand trial, because they are going to turn themselves in, right? So we're ready to turn ourselves in. Earth, hello? No response. That's like, what's going on with this? Okay, whatever. Just... I guess we'll head back ourselves. Yeah, no, I mean, we got this Klingon ship here. We could just use this.
Yeah,
like, it's there. Yeah,
it's here. We've got it. Why not?
The only other piece to that I'd add is Kirk being a little bit reticent or even seeming hostile initially. not being comfortable on the ship.
Yeah. You know, I agree. Like, in fact, I would like the idea that Kirk pretty much pushes for, maybe you should try to hail them again. No, sir, we're not getting any responses from, maybe you should try the Admiralty channel. I have special, sir, you don't understand. We're not getting any signals of any kind. Well, you know, and then, I like that idea that he pushes back.
They could even argue, it's like, even if we got a ship at its fastest speed to get there and back, by the time all this takes place, we could have been there if we just take this ship. Plus, and then they point out, plus, this is a Klingon ship, and we have had a lot of combat, so it's not like it's an insubstantial prize for, engineering or for Starfleet tech. To break down, and that might be a subtle way. Maybe that's what changes his mind. Maybe a subtle way, a way to hurt the Klingons.
Yeah, no, I like that. Just to kind of show that wound is still right there, because he just lost his son to Krug, right. So that's still there, and that needs to still be part of his character.
Yeah, and he could even say that. That could be his thing. He's like, well, I do suppose that Starfleet Tactical would love to be able to analyze this technology.
So they get in the bird. They start heading back. They get the signal from Sulu. The information from Sulu contains basically all the information, including the whale recordings. And that scene kind of plays out mostly the same, other than the fact that Spock is not an elitist dick about it.
Okay, makes sense.
Whoops. So one little tidbit, and this is me building off of Reloaded's idea.
Well, and to explain the elitist thing, I'm sorry not to interrupt, but the whole, why did you presume it was just humans or whatever? Because I don't think you were here for that, Jesse. But yeah, continue on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's that line, that bit from Spock has always bothered me. Anyways, so they're discussing this, and they figure out that it's the whales, and they're like, but whales have been extinct for 75 years or whatever number, it doesn't matter, 100 years. we don't know how are we going to possibly get that? Does it need to be whale? Possibly, we're not even sure. And they're just talking it out as they're hashing out. And the general idea is, I want to have a different tone than the movie, because in the movie they're like, we should time travel because whales are intelligent and will save us. No, I want more along the lines of, what the hell do we do? Well, we're in a Klingon piece of crap. If that pulse hits us, we are screwed. Oh, that's a good point. So we can't even go back to Earth right now. Nope, we can't even get near it. All right. Well, what could we do? And I want them to just kind of be like, maybe we could try to make something happen with the whales. And this is when they start discussing the idea, not of time travel, because that's stupid, but instead of replicating this noise or trying to emulate it. And I bring that up specifically because I like the idea that at this point, I'd like it if it was Spock, but it would work okay if it was not Spock. I'm curious of your thoughts on this, Jesse. Someone brings up this idea of, if Uhura was here, she would probably be able to make that work.
Yeah, I think Spock makes the most sense for that.
Well, see, I was thinking either Spock says it and it's a sign that he's getting more to be himself, or someone else says it and then Spock reacts to it. I'm not sure which I like better there. But either way, the point is, we dropped the point that Uhura is missing, and that this problem could be solved right now if Uhura was there. That's important.
I'm trying to think of if because there's the different ways you do this scene kind of hints at what Spock's arc would be for the whole movie, right? Mm-hmm. So I kind of like the idea better that it's someone else that mentions it, and he kind of doesn't pick up on it as much.
Yeah, maybe just like a very brief inclination of his head, like that's it,
Yeah, and then that leads to maybe later on in the movie that Uhura gets brought up again, and we sort of see that he's kind of become more himself, and that sort of
and he actually has a real reaction to it. I like that. Good idea. Okay, so as they're having this big discussion and they're trying to figure this out, at some point someone mentions, we can't just get some real whales. They've been dead for years, right? Mm-hmm. That's when Chekhov just kind of goes, oh. And Captain, I have here information on how exactly to enact time travel. And it's just the whole thing is there. And to keep with the generally comedic tone of the work, I like the idea that at some point Kirk is like, where did you get? You know what? I don't care. Just okay, sure, and
Sorry,
just kind of immediately goes with it.
Sorry, one time my cat's trying to jump up but he takes his time to make the decision. You gonna come or no? Come on. Yes?
Got to think about it. Got to make sure he can make the jump.
Nope. Okay, never mind. He's like, nah, I'll go over here. Or did you want to come on up here? Oh, you just wanted to come up from this side. I see how it is. Come on. Come on. Do you want help?
He's so used to what's his name?
Nope, you're gonna go. Okay, never mind.
I want to Chekhov. He's so used to Chekhov saying he can't tell him by this time.
Yeah,
Because that's happened a
exactly.
couple times.
Where did you get that from? And Chekhov like opens his mouth to respond, and Kirk's like, "Never mind. I get it. You couldn't tell me if you wanted to." Let's go.
Yeah, he just does that. He starts like, "You couldn't tell me," and then just goes on.
Yeah, no, I like that. Darn that cat. So then they time travel, and then they're in the past. Now, admittedly, once we get to the past, the overwhelming majority of events are going to be pretty much the same. It's the past. It's funny. It's lighthearted. Shrug. We're there. We're done.
Right.
I was going to kind of open the floor a little bit because there's a few nitpicks, polishing past stuff that I would want to change in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But most of that is really still like, again, I would remove, like completely eject the romance between I don't remember her name and Kirk.
Could I make a suggestion that might be interesting, especially given the time of when this movie released?
Sure.
One of the problems that I always had with past Star Trek is not enough LGBTQ representation. So why not take that character and make her queer?
Oh yeah, that. Oh.
And then that would remove the romance
ex-
element, but also
that-
give the.
We could also make that explain. So Kirk is trying to schmooze her.
Oh,
He
yeah.
actually does. No, he actually does that in the movie. If you remember, that's how he pulls for his in.
Yeah.
And she just wall because she's not into it, right?
Yeah, I like that.
So there you go. So that explains that away. Plus, to be perfectly frank, Kirk needs to end up with Carol Marcus. I'm sorry. I'm
Oh
set in
yeah,
stone
though
on
that
one.
even if we do the dumb generations route, like it was in the Nexus, that it needs to be Carol.
Yeah, at some point he needs to end up with Carol. Damn it. I'm not
who the
completely
hell was-
anti-romance.
Who was it? Who the hell was it in
Oh God,
Generations?
some woman they came up with that we've never heard of before. I don't even remember her name.
They
Yeah,
gave her a name?
Anita or
I don't-
something.
I don't remember them giving her a name. They gave her.
No, they
She
do. Oh, they do in the
does.
book. I don't know if they do.
No,
in the movie.
he calls her name at one point, but like he's saying he's making food for
Antonia. That's it, Antonia.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like, sure.
Who. It
Who?
was supposed to be Carol too, which is it felt like was that a Rick Berman note that's like you can't be Carol Market for.
I mean, that movie, it had so many issues. They were working on 3 shows simultaneously while writing the script, while having executive mandates. I'm astonished it's as good as it is. But
Yeah.
anyways, so she's queer. He tries. That's not. I'm totally with that. Obviously, Uhura isn't there, and Sulu isn't there. Thankfully, that changes nothing because they already had no scenes in 4. Yes, that was on purpose, by the way. Yes, I do plan this stuff out that far in advance. There was one other. You mentioned something about Scotty Reloaded.
Did I? No, I didn't. Well, no. So there's one piece we didn't add. So there's 2 pieces. There's one thing we didn't add. So remember the Section 31 agent. So this is where all that comes back into play. So they get onto the planet. He gets onto the ship, and Chekhov is captured, right? And so then he's taken to the investigator, who they use language in this movie I didn't even realize. So
Yeah, they do.
so he sees the investigator, and he's like, "Oh, it's you. What are you doing here?" And the investigator, he just doesn't know him, has no idea. He's like, "What the hell are you talking about? Why are you stupid? Why are you on this vessel? Who are you?" And he takes all of the stuff, right? All of the Klingon stuff, and he's like, "What is this? Why do you have this?" And so we basically have it play almost the exact same way. Chekhov doesn't know what's going on, but obviously something's up with the investigator. Tries to pull the weapon on him. The remote control Klingon blaster doesn't work. He throws it at him, runs off, and so Chekhov's on his merry. Either after what happens to Chekhov or right before, we have the investigator looking at the stuff while they're trying to capture him, or just in the background. And he pulls something up, and all of a sudden it activates, and we see a form like some kind of hologram. and he's looking at himself. And then they say something to the effect of, you're not going to believe this, or you don't know what's going on, but we're going to need you. Section 31 needs your help, or the temporal agents need your help to save Earth. In about 200 years or so, this place will be a hellscape unless you help us out. It says something like that. You'd clean the dialogue, but basically says, help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope, and if you don't, everybody's going to die. And so that ties in the time travel. So now we have how the time travel happened, and we actually have his origin story as well, I think. So I think it just makes everything work out quite cleanly.
Sorry, you're getting the cat on the mic.
Who doesn't love the cat? I don't know. I feel like I didn't explain that as neatly as I did beforehand, but that's basically where I'm going with it. If you want to add anything, Runner.
Well, I think it's the worst idea I've ever heard, but
we're still going to use it.
Sorry, I missed. Could you repeat just briefly that, because I was dealing with the cat being persnickety.
So I will repeat his answer by saying that I would change it slightly.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the idea is Chekhov goes back. He encounters the dude. Chekhov, it's the inspector dude. And at this point, the idea, of course, obviously, we've given all this away to you. But we've already seen this guy in the third movie. Mm-hmm. And thus, we've already seen him a little bit in the fourth movie where he gave the thing to Chekhov. And so he goes and he sees the guy, and Chekhov's like, Bob, I forget his name. Bob. And the guy's, I'm sorry, do I know you? And what he wanted to do was what Reloaded wanted to do was he wanted to have a scene where they spell it out, that the fact that he was recruited here in the past will eventually be pulled into the future and become a member of Section 31, who will become Chekhov's handler, who will send him back to the past, closed loop.
Got it, yeah.
Now, the only caveat I want to add to that, I love the idea in general, I really do. I would probably have less of an expository scene about it. I think they would bog down the movie just a little bit to have a complete exposition. And frankly, I don't think the viewers need it. Well, I think if they just showed that guy there, and
it could be like a subtle thing.
And the guy's just like,
it's one of those. It would be one of those, like, if you're like, a Trekkie nerd and you've been following, it's like, oh, hey, that's it. But if you were just like an audience member who's just coming into this movie, you wouldn't pick up on it, nor would you need to. I
don't know. I think it needs a little bit of an explanation. Not him just looking at it, but maybe, and you don't have to exposit it as much. You could just have a hologram pop up that looks like him. Maybe add Welcome Section 31. You don't have to. I feel like you have to do more than just have him look at it, though.
So what I was doing, we could have him do more than just looking at it. That is absolutely valid. I think it's the worst idea I've ever heard in my entire life, but I think we can make it work. However, let me give you the two ideas I have. First is my idea, and the second is your idea. The first idea is he looks at it, and then in order to really exposit on what's going on here, what happens is, and we need to write up the specifics. This is one of the scenes we need to really restructure. But the idea is that Chekhov is just kind of let go. Mm-hmm. We don't explain why or how, but the very strong idea is that he picks up this thing and the message comes through and he lets Chekhov go as a result, despite being a military officer who's just caught a Russian on a nuclear carrier in the 80s. I feel like that all speaks for itself. However...
Excuse me, it's a nuclear vessel?
Sorry, vessel.
I love the cop. I rewatched it right
we
before
need to
we
keep
come
that
back.
Scene.
Yeah,
that scene is perfect.
I was not as... I don't know. It's just... I didn't remember that it was that
The
funny.
cop is what sold that scene, because he's just utterly expressionless. He's not shaking his head. He's not reacting. He's just...
And he just keeps... And they stop talking to him and they go to other people and he just stays
He just stares at him. It's perfect. God, it's just perfect. I love this movie, by the way, if it's not obvious.
It's great, yeah.
Okay, so to add your idea, though, I think you're talking me into it. By you, I mean I'm talking me into your idea. What we could do is have a thing where instead of the full exposition and instead of no exposition, he pulls out the thing, he looks at it, hologram pops up, and the hologram just says, hello, Bob, whatever his name is. And the guy's like, then you cut away. Mm-hmm. And thus we now know with total certainty there is a message he is giving to himself, which then leads to Chekhov getting out. What do you think of that?
Well, and the other thing too is you could have I don't know, maybe we could have Chekhov try to explain it to him too. He's like, no, you've talked to me. I don't know if we want to do that, but that added together is an option.
I would probably, I think Walter Koenig, obviously we're not using him, but I think Walter Koenig has a good riff tempo. that he could just, it'd be one of those conversations where two people are effectively talking over each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could do that kind of a thing. No, you don't understand. We've already met. This is from I'm from the future, and you're going to be there when we get there. I'm not sure how, but you're going to be there. Damn it, just listen to me. Why won't you listen to me? This is so simple. And then, just something like that as he's trying to convince this guy. And the guy's just like, what is wrong with this dude?
Yeah. Remove the R slur there, but yeah, I still like the joke. Remove the R slur, but I really like the joke. It's like, so what do you think? I think he's a Russian that's trying to spy. Yeah, no, fuck, we know he's a Russian.
Of course he's a Rusty. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
What do you think?
There's something wrong with him. Like, is this a homeless person? Have we accidentally picked up? What is going on here?
Yeah, I don't know how long since you've seen it, Jesse, but that is a funny part too. I mean, it's
been a minute. I should have rewatched it before this discussion, but I just didn't have time.
Because he says he calls him
Rusky.
Yeah, Rusky and something else. But yeah, no, he does. He turns to his friend. He's like, "What do you think?" Well, I think he's a Russian spy. Yeah, no, he gets so frustrated with him. Yeah, it's obviously.
I'm so shocked.
Really.
But anyway.
But yeah, so we do have to polish out a couple of things. Chekhov could still have his big escape, but it could be like we instead of Chekhov having the big escape from running away from the guys, we could have a bit where instead he is just kind of sneaking his way out of the base because the implication of the guy let him go. And as he's sneaking away, he's caught. Then we have the escape. Then he's injured. And that lines up neatly. So we have the hospital scene.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I mean, do we even need the hospital scene? I don't see why.
I think we do.
It gives McCoy a good... Yeah.
It's McCoy's scene.
Okay.
B, it's probably the funniest overall scene in the entire film. Even though it's kind of nonsense. But we have to keep that in there.
It's also kind of dark and grim, too. And it also raises, like, even though it's ancillary to the larger plot, it is sort of an interesting sort of thing. Is like, as a doctor, is like, what do you do? It's like, you can't mess with the timeline, but you could also save people.
You can't mess with the timeline, but she has, oh my God, no, I'm going, here, take these pills.
Yeah, it's funny, but it's also like implies so many ethical questions that are intriguing. So.
So yeah, no, I think we should keep the hospital. Now there are two exactly, Perry White. There are two major holes that I'm hoping you guys can help me fill. I will freely admit I haven't even thought about these. I mean, I know they're there. The first is we need to get the plexiglass to the ship because we've ejected Sulu. The second thing, and I know that's so sad that is his only contribution in the entire film, is flying that helicopter, but it does fill a neat hole because he's someone they can trust to lift some plexiglass into the middle of San Francisco Park. I forget the name of that park.
I mean, why can't we just give him enough power to do the? I mean, I think that's just easy. They have enough power to transport it over. The reason why they couldn't Sulu, the reason why they couldn't with Chekhov is because of the radiation. Just write it off like that.
I don't know what I think of that, but there is one other niggle which is actually related to that. Speaking of beaming, the whales. Oh yeah, they have to get the whales onto the ship.
Well, how do they? Don't they beam them too?
Yeah, they beam them onto the ship.
Yeah, what's that? Oh, that's a problem.
All right, let's beam them on. Well, okay, we need more whales.
Yeah, I was say the worst part is like, well, we just keep trying and keep.
Oh God!
They beam
if this wasn't a comedy film, if this was a darker work, I would have that be brought up as an option. We could just keep beaming whales on board until we succeed.
So they beam the whales on board would be great.
That's what leads to the extinction of the whales, is they beamed them all.
Yep, we beamed them all.
It wasn't the hunting. It would.
If we want to keep it a comedy, we beam them on board and then we switch from the tank to Kirk's eyeball, and so you see the reflection and it just gets his pupil gets wide as you see the explosion of red in
slow-mo
in his eyeball, and then it slowly comes out to this face.
Traumatized to the rest of the movies every time someone mentions seafood. Just like
made him vegan.
God, we can bring that up in Star Trek 6. Anyways, yeah. So those are the two holes. We can work out the plexiglass thing one way or the other, but we do need to work out the whales getting on board the bird.
So the one thing we'd probably do, I guess, is
I mean, the easy answer is to redesign the ship so it has a shuttle bay, but
or
remove.
What I was
just thinking. Yeah.
Or remove the remove that scene altogether. I mean, it's a nice, cool little scene about, oh, look at these bad guys and they're stopped by the 23rd century. But they use their smarts to reroute the transports for the whales to the Klingon warbird. So they actually find out that they're transporting them, they're taking them to the sea or whatever, and they intercept it. I mean, we could keep with the comedy and make it a chase scene to a degree, where they're being chased with Wells in the back. That I could see that fun. Kirk and Spock are like they're driving the vehicles, being followed by cops or whatever, with Whales in the back, just being like, "What the hell is going on?" I could
just doing their Free Willy impression.
Yeah, dude, we could even mimic that. We can mimic that. So the Klingon warbird is in the air, and it's like jump, and so you have the whale jump out into the Klingon warbird, and it just goes over Spock. I want to write that. I want to do that. I would do that just to mimic Free Willy, because you see, they really can't.
And they just
fly.
like land in the shuttle.
They do. They land in the thing. And it looks like, and the cops.
I don't dislike the chase sequence idea.
And the cops, I'm totally serious about this. And then the cops just see them disappear into like thin air because they're cloaked. And then you still have that same cop just staring like the cop.
Yeah, the same cop. This is the one who just.
He has the exact same face. He just drives off. He doesn't get paid enough for this.
All right, here's my thought. Here's how we squeeze all these things together.
1960s San Francisco was a weird place.
That's what he says.
Bangkok.
That's what he says. He says that 1960s San Francisco is a weird place, and then he just drives off. He says it.
Here's my thinking. So I like the truck chase. And, because we should have some kind of end of, towards the end of movie climax. And they find, she finds out that the whales have been transferred against her knowledge. She's upset about this. She goes to try and find Kirk. She finds out Kirk's from the future. Maybe I was thinking about leaving her behind because there's no reason to bring her to the present, just my opinion, but we'll get to that in a minute. And she's like, Kirk, God, you said you were Admiral, we need to go. What? He's going there. What? Yes. No. Okay. Let's get, and then rather than flying out to go out to sea, they get in her truck and they just chase after this sucker on Highway 5.
And then you can have
and there's this giant water tank, and the ship, the actual bird, the Bounty, I think they got the HMS Bounty, is like going around, and they've done the thing. This is so stupid, and I know this is so stupid. They open up the bay, so. They've got the bay, and you can actually see the hole in the cloaking field, or maybe they actually drop the cloak for a few seconds as they.
I like the visual of like.
Okay, so the bay just opens up, and there's the shuttle bay, and they're like, "What?" And then Spock's like, "I believe I have the calculations, Captain." And Kirk's like, "Are you sure?" And Spock just raises an eyebrow at him. It's like, "Okay, do what Spock says," and then Spock does this thing where he nails the truck that is carrying the giant tank of water, which is carrying the whales, and the truck tips over, and the whales go flying out, plus the water, into the air, into the shuttle bay.
Let me fix one thing.
Well,
I don't know. Hold on. Let me fix one thing. I don't know how close you've seen it, Runner, but one of the ongoing jokes was the hell I am. Like he curses. He's like, so he doesn't. He's like, I have an idea, and then Kirk is about to see what he's about to do. He sees him about to hit the brakes or whatever, and he says, "You can't be serious." He's like, "The hell I am," and then he nails.
Yeah, I like it.
And then it just goes flying. I'm sorry.
And then it goes flying.
I'm sorry, Jesse. What were you saying?
Well, I mean, just the water part. I was just gonna fix the logistics of the water part. That you could you beam? Can you beam water?
Well, yeah, you can beam anything.
I mean, yeah, actually, fairly enough, yeah. What I like the idea is that they get them in there and then they just start beaming water in. And we can even have a background thing where they have to do multiple beams because they lose a portion of the water each beam, right?
Exactly.
But then they just beam in more water because it's water. Who cares, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that would fix that. Like, I like that ridiculous idea of like the it's over the top and weird, but I feel like you can get away with one.
Yeah, I feel we could get one truly silly moment in the film.
Even through the sound, you hear the well sound.
It's like it slows down and you just like it's like one of those slow motion animated movie things where the whales just has like their eyes are wide.
He goes from and then you hear he goes to Kirk and Kirk is like whoa. And so is like you have Spock who is like calm and cool because he knows exactly where he's got the calculations down.
Oh yeah. So Spock is so it's in slow mo, and the truck's at this angle at this point. Spock's just completely, and Kirk's like this up against the wall.
And what's her name has the woman.
Yeah,
they're like
in the back there.
I love this. I love this.
And then we could. Why do birds?
But then it's he did all the calculations. The whales actually spot on get in, but they get like impaled on like a spike in the cargo bay.
No. Who put that spike there? The Klingons, sir. Damn it!
Oh dear God!
All right, let's go find some other ones.
Let's go get some more whales.
Get some more whales. Let's go.
Oh God.
Any other things in the past
that's so awesome
that need to be resolved? Because at this point it's just get back to the present. We have a couple other niggles that we need to iron out, but anything else in the past scenes?
No, I wish that scene actually existed because I want to put why do birds suddenly appear next to it with Kirk freaking out and everything. And Spock. Just imagine that scene. Spock's calm and cool. You have Kirk and the woman, and that's why do birds suddenly appear? And they're just freaking out. I don't know. That made me funny. Nothing in the past. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything.
Do we carry forward? I don't even remember her name. Do we carry forward Whale Lady? Now, my argument. So originally, apparently, and I got to add that asterisk, as all Star Trek history always has that asterisk to it. But apparently they were going to use her in Star Trek V and then Shatner, Star Trek, etc. So that's why they bothered to bring her back to the present. Do we? Because we could use her, but we don't have to. Like we got options there is what I'm trying to say.
One of the things that I would, if we do bring her to the present, the way I would do it is like we can keep the sort of ecological reason, like she wants to do that, but also if we're making her queer, it's sort of like you could even have a subplot of like, sure, maybe she's kind of maybe her boss at the whale place is homophobic, and so she kind of comes to the and it kind of gets to that Star Trek message of like it's better in the future. She's like, I want to live in the future where none of that shit exists.
See that. That's not a bad idea. Okay,
and you don't have to make it's not a big deal of it, but it's just like
it's just she's moving to a better life. So
yeah,
and she says it like that. She says it just like that. And it's like I don't have to live in the past where all of this shit exists. She says it just like that.
I don't have to live with all this garbage. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, it's probably best to skip 2020. It's
why? I don't understand. Oh my God! As she's reading the history books,
it's like whoa. Glad I missed that one. Jesus Christ!
Crap! Did I have to be here? This? No. Okay, good. We're just gonna stay here. Real quick. Thank you very much, Kaon, for the sub. Always appreciate. You know the question. If you know where you want to put that, let me know, please. So, God, I hope so, Cashel. But we'll think about that later. That's more in show stuff. What I want to talk about right now is if we're gonna bring her forward, which I like that idea.
And actually, I like Tesla Effect his comment here. Like maybe there is like a scene where there already kind of is one in Voyage Home. Like she's just like, I just wish I could live in a society that is beyond all of this crap. And Kirk's like, humanity gets there.
Yeah, no, and of course he just can't help it, as SF Debris says, I can't help but spread the Starfleet gospel. But I like that. I like that. So she goes forward to the future, better theme. So we get to the future. The funny thing is, with the change to the transporters not being viable, the end climax suddenly actually makes more sense than it did in the base film. I mean, obviously they had the power outage thing, but the only way they can get the whales off this ship and into the water and get them out of this sinking vessel is to literally open the bays, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, the bird is just gonna get smashed by those pulses. We can have a big race thing. So what they do is they come back. Did we make it? Are we here? Vroom, 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 vroom. Which is a good scene, but I think a better way to do that would be, did we make it? Are we here? Vroom, a pulse hits. And, Scotty is like, okay, we barely lived through that one. Well, we need to get in there and get in that right now. And understanding the urgency of the situation, they book it, right?
Well, and that's why they do it in the first place too. That could actually be at the beginning. I was thinking about that. That would be why time travel, the most ludicrous idea you could come with, is really the best idea. Because once they get the whales, even if they get hit by that wave, it won't matter. They'll have the whales that can talk to them. That's why they're like, okay, well, let's do this because the most ludicrous idea is the best one.
No, I agree. So, damn it, I'm stuck in combat. So that leads to them crash landing on Earth. Obviously, they kind of come back very close to Earth. They have basically just enough time. Remember, they have those 45 seconds. They have the 45 seconds to manage to steer the ship into the San Francisco Bay, and that's about as far as that goes before boom. And this one really wrecks the ship. This leads to basically the same climax. The ship is dying. Kirk has to go down and manually open the thing. Everyone is bailing out of the ship. The whales get out. Now, I already know why the probe is here. I haven't decided if we should tell the viewers, because you don't have to. I've always firmly believed that as a writer, you should know why things happen, but you don't always have to have it on camera. So what do you guys think about that?
We need to bring it up during the place that they usually come up on.
Yeah, you could bring it up where they get up, but then that gets into like is this retroactive sort of thing from the viewers, or did they always intend this?
Well, and the interesting thing, I don't want to give it away, but the interesting thing is that can make an interesting conversation during when that takes place, because during that entire thing, person on the pro side could have been like, remember when we sent that whatever and we never got any information back? Maybe this is why. I'm trying to be as absolutely vague.
No, I get completely what you're saying, and I'm totally with it. I kind of like the idea of leaving it in the background and not necessarily explaining it.
But what I would do I forget in the movie, do they ever even point to the fact that they're curious where it comes from?
No, they don't.
Like,
they don't explain it.
Yeah,
we talked about that. We talked about that at the beginning. They don't at any point explain it. It's just something that happens that involves a species that was going extinct in current time. Yeah, they never at any point.
Yeah, no, that was
then if we do change it so that we don't bring it up, but we intend to later, I would at least make like have a character's like, I wonder where that was from. Maybe we'll find out one day. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. Maybe it'll be 100 years from now. Whatever.
Maybe it'll be in a future series that we're trying to make money off. No one knows.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I think I kind of agree with the idea of not explaining it. So yeah, the whales come down. They talk. We don't have subtitles. That was always a terrible idea.
God, well, this is a terrible idea from the beginning. By the way, Donovan Bradford.
The subtitles actually in the movie?
Yeah,
they were going to be, but they are not.
By the way,
thank God. I was like, wait, I remember seeing like YouTube videos of that, of like joking.
SF Debris did it, yeah.
Yeah, SF Debris did one of those. I was thinking about doing one myself and just making things, but there were going to be subtitles. That is true.
Oh God,
real quick, thanks so much, Donovan Bradford, for supporting the channel. They do not burn up in the atmosphere. That is correct. Vendetta IRG, I'm going to let that through just to say that if you can afford me, baby, you're more than happy to, but I'm pretty expensive. All right, but keep it up, and we'll see if you ever chat on the channel again. So, I loved SF Debris. Like, SF Debris is like, WTF you doing here? Yeah, why the hell? What are you doing? You're killing everybody.
What's going on?
You never call. Yeah, it's so stupid.
Yeah, I also want to. Sorry, random aside. My cat never climbs on my desk, except for apparently right now when I'm in the middle of a live stream. He just wants to be on my freaking desk.
He knows. He knows it's his time. He's ready.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I can be on camera.
This is relevance.
Sorry, apologies.
Now okay. We actually have an interesting choice here. In actual Star Trek 4, what happens is they go back, they have the trial. No Klingons involved. That was dropped.
Right.
And they say, we've dropped all the charges except for this, so we're breaking you down to captain. Big celebration scene. Everyone's happy. You get the Enterprise back. It should have been the Yorktown, but it actually wasn't. I think it was the Yorktown. Anyways, we could do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Or we could just basically end on, they successfully saved the ship with and just have kind of a denouement thing rather than immediately getting back into the trial and all that stuff. Save that for 5.
I say we end it with the trial thing, but we actually have just a little bit more to it, where you have the Gork. Maybe you either have both of them there or just the Gorkon representative there, and he brings up, they highlight Sulu for helping out the down Klingon ships. And you could even have the representative talking a little bit about how this has, brought the Federation and the Klingons closer because they work together to take care of this, blah, blah, blah. The Federation helped out. And, the Dorka family is...
Dagor.
Dagor. I'm sorry. Dagor is like, there has to be a penance. And so the Gorkon representative could be like, you're right, the centrists or the central houses would demand a penance. You like being on a ship, right, Kirk? Or something like that, where they're like, Kirk could even come up. He's like, the best thing I'm at is command. And then you can see it dawn on the president's face, and he says, you're demoted. And then Gorkon says, I have it. That's something I can take back to the central houses. Let's go and have a party. Let's go and have a rave.
Okay, so I hate this dialogue that you're giving me.
I'm saying no, but I mean it's the 23rd century.
I get the
It's
intent.
the 23rd century, so they're going to go and make lots of babies together.
That's not what I meant.
See, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse if you say you don't like it.
The point being, I love it. It's the best thing ever.
I like captaining and stuff. So
Can I captain it up, please?
yeah.
I want to be captain.
Gorkin dude's just like, hey, yeah, that was chill.
That's chill, whatever. And then the next thing you see is just a field, and they're holding hands as they skip down. It's you and me and me. I like
dialogue. That's the dialogue that I'm here for.
That's why you come.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
What I would specifically do, just because I feel like saying it, is I wouldn't have anyone be so overt about it. I would instead have it be something like, the central. So I like the idea that briefly the representative for Gorkin, remember, I don't want it to be Gorkin himself,
right,
and the representative from Dagor are both arguing about this, and they need some kind of penance, and they agree, and this is important to me. They both agree that just now, after all Kirk did to literally save their individual lives, plus their ships, plus the Excelsior's actions, just taking Kirk back and having him executed would be extremely poor form, right?
Right.
And so they're both debating what to do, and they consider this for a moment. Cut the scene. Next, we go to the actual trial where they're, revealing the verdict, and that's when they actually reveal it. I feel like actually having a scene where they come to the moment of realization is unnecessary and kind of diminishes some of the tempo of that. Instead, just have it be, therefore, we are going to be, and very, very serious, very somber, therefore, we are going to be demoting you. You are no longer an admiralty. You are going to be reduced to the rank of captain of your own vessel, and you just like a brief cut to the two Klingons who are both kind of nodding approvingly, because now they've gotten their pound of flesh, and they've satisfied their own personal honor, while at the same time ensuring while ensuring that their own political deal back home is dealt with.
Then
now,
can we have the party with the holding?
Fine. Then there's sex, but then there's the Yorktown, and the thing is.
I'm all about normalizing orgy parties in the 23rd century. Sorry.
That's why we get along so well.
Someone in chat, I think it was in your chat, mentioned the idea. I think it was Pete Oz. There it is. I like the idea that they're going to give him the Yorktown, and Kirk is the one who requests. Can we rename it? If I might make my first request as commander, I would like to officially, there's actually a military thing.
No. Yeah, but I like this idea. You just said, it's like, what's my new ship? Well, we haven't seen it yet. You haven't seen it on the screen yet. It says, we're going to give you the USS Yorktown, just been built. It's like, oh, that sounds like a great ship. I'm into it. Can we rename it? Cut to grand opening shot of the ship. And then USS Enterprise.
A.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I like that. Instead of the formal. I like that better. Good idea.
Yeah, that's like a good sort of ending shot sort of thing, or like close to ending shot. Yeah.
Then we can have the rave lights like we saw in the disco,
and
but
it's just rave, and then the sex.
No, it's coming from.
It's just okay,
everywhere. So it doesn't have to go to sex. I'm just saying there was a scene in Discovery where you could see out the windows, and they were having a party, and it was like a rave party. So that's going to be the Yorktown when they get there.
You see the rave party in that one episode?
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying that you don't see it in the original series. You just see the lights moving from the thing. Mm-hmm. You should kill that innkeeper. Can you do that?
No.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
On any character. Which is the interesting part.
I've never played WoW, so it's fascinating to watch.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's the most amazing stuff ever. All right, so I think that is it.
Yeah, I think that's
the whole thing. You have the most wonderful viewers, Other Lore. I've got all sorts of awesome, amazing people. By the way, y'all are awesome. Fresh reminder. And then you have those people. I think they're not even viewers.
Which
they're not even people. No, I think they're literally not people.
Oh, did you see the guy who was?
Yeah.
You saw that? Yeah, I think that's the same person. That's why I.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, I got like spammed the other day on Wednesday. There was like people saying like, "Oh, we're gonna come to your house and get you or whatever if you don't give money to this guy's stream or whatever." Yeah, it was like a few of them. It was, yeah, it seems like spammers are getting around at the moment.
Yeah, for me, it just depends on if I want to milk them or not. Because the way YouTube works, it behooves me to start a fight with them. Because the more they talk, the better I am.
Oh yeah, I know it's shitty, but I always
YouTube.
One of my favorite things is like all the people who say nasty stuff in my videos comments. I'm like, I always comment, thank you for the algorithm boost.
Yeah, that's what I told you. I like it. I try to milk them as much as I can, keep them talking. I'm the kid Boga of Lore Runner. Anyway,
the worst I get is those porn bots, which I just ban immediately. You know, the ones who are like, they give you some random timestamp in the video, completely made up.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, I liked this.
What's the
Would you
point?
like to go to my site?
They don't even give sites
I get
on mine.
so many of those.
I know.
They don't even.
No,
I don't understand.
The point of it being there, the way it works. So there's the ones that actually have the link, you know, dategirlsonline.com or whatever it is, you know, the virus riddled sites. But the reason the ones do it that don't actually have like a link or whatever is because they have a scantily clad woman, very obvious as their icon, and they're trying to get people to either click it because it's a sexy woman or click it because they're curious, like what the heck is that? And if they do, they will see a page where it'll be like, hey, you should subscribe to me for stuff. And if you subscribe to them, some bad stuff can happen. That's the summary. There's actually a lot more complexity to that. Yeah, that's why they do it.
Ban those. I got a few of my videos get hit with a bunch of those, but yeah.
Yeah, that's why I just ban them as soon as I see them. I miss occasionally a few because I'm only human, but those are auto ban as soon as I see them. So let's see here. Stephen House has an idea there. We could make it so that the captain isn't dead. She's just in a coma, or he's in a coma, or whatever. You know what? I'm okay with that. We don't have to kill characters in this movie. I'm okay with not killing characters for once.
Yeah, I do think that's why, because I did look it up. It is a PG movie, so that's probably why they were all like neutralized instead of killed.
We need to neutralize. God, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm almost certain that was the reason because Wrath of Khan had to be PG-13, right?
I don't know if you guys when you guys last watched it, but they use the term neutralize a lot. Ships get neutralized. They literally say it about someone who's hurt. He's been neutralized. It's like, wow, that's.
Oh yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
Well, what was the movie that caused the PG-13 rating? Jaws. It was a Steven Spielberg movie. Indiana Jones? It was Indiana Jones.
I think it was Indiana Jones, yeah. I don't know off the top of my head, I'll be honest, but I'm leaning towards Indiana Jones on that.
Which was 1981. Sorry, I'm just looking into the history of this because I'm kind of curious about it.
Might have been Red Dawn. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because Wrath of Khan.
But yeah,
Wrath of Khan was PG. But that might have been before the PG-13 rating was created. Voyage Home was definitely after the PG-13 rating had been created. So they might have been going for, at that time, a PG versus a PG-13, hence why they can't kill anybody.
But yeah, no, I'm seeing several people saying Temple of Doom. I think that is right. I think we're right. It is that specific Indiana Jones film.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really matter that much. The point being, I'm fine with not killing the captain. We don't need to kill the captain. This is a lighthearted flick. We're setting up some political intrigue in the background, but you know, I'm totally cool with us going and saving some whales because it's fun.
No, I think we need to viscerally murder someone by gouging out their eye. And
so
also have Klingon nudie sex in there. Yeah, that's what I want out of my Star Trek.
Which insinuates assault, and then we can also have baby heads chopped off.
Yeah, I want that. That's what I'm here for.
Veto. Executive veto.
All of that happens in Discovery. That's where that's coming from.
We get a dismembered baby head being held up aloft. along with the head.
People were defending that too. They're like, "Oh, it's just a doll." It's
along
just
with the
whatever.
head
It's
of
like,
the one of the main characters of the show, his head gets cut off, and well, not really. It is a fake version of it, but you do get
they
to see.
show a baby head. I don't care that it spoilers that it's not actually the baby. It's a fake baby head. They don't say that it's been neutralized. They don't say that the baby didn't survive. No, what they did in both reality and in the show was probably make a baby out of plastic, chop off its head, and then record it and show it to everybody. That's what they did. Anyway,
I mean, if we're being honest about the Klingons, what L'Rell probably did is find another person's baby and murder it.
There's no guarantee that it wasn't an actual baby. You got it, because what if they scan it? They need to make sure it's not rubber, right?
Yeah, well, that's why she throws it into the pit. Anyways, we're off on Discovery now. Sorry.
Oh man, season 1 is so bad. I'm glad that's season 3. Oh, is that season 2?
That's season 2.
It's still at the beginning though. I'm so glad season 3 is better. Oh, I hope they keep on this. I hope they keep doing good. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What are your thoughts about that, Runner? Do you think that makes good Trek?
Dude, that is the best of all. You know what? I'm not even touching the 10-foot pole. I'm not even touching it. But I do want to say.
No, I was more interested in how you think chopping a baby's head off is.
We got it. I can take that clip out of context. Lore Runner says all of it is great.
It's all great.
He staked his claim.
Whatever you like in Trek is what Trek should be. There you go.
We'll just cut that and we'll cut out the first part. It's all great. It's what Trek should be. That's what we'll get you saying.
Yep.
We got him. We got him. We've done it.
Got him.
Jeff in my chat, actually it's J-E, but I always forget how to pronounce it, brings up something, and I was thinking about this as well, because I'm extremely pro-continuity. We could make the whales matter later. Now, I'm really against... I'm really, really, really against the idea of the... What was it called? The Citation pod. You know what I'm talking about? In the Enterprise D? The Citation... God, I can't even remember what it's called. You know what I'm talking about. Ignore the idiots in chat for a second.
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted by that.
Because they're stupid and terrible, and they don't deserve your time.
Oh no, that account will be taken care of very shortly. I have friends. Don't worry.
The what is it called? Citation something. Citation section.
Citation ops.
Yeah, I think it might be operations. Yeah.
It's citation ops because they bring it up in lower decks.
Oh my God, citation ops is so stupid. So let's eject that and never use that ever again.
No, they actually announced that they are going to see citation ops in the next season of Lower Decks. Yeah, it's actually gonna be canonized, like fully canonized.
No, citation ops has been canonized in Lower Decks.
I mean, it was already canonized because they mentioned it in the first episode.
It is mentioned.
Too, they're actually saying they're gonna go.
TNG,
they're gonna go.
By the way,
is it?
It is mentioned in one line in one episode. Don't ask me the episode, but it is actually directly referenced in dialogue in one episode of TNG.
Oh, I thought it was just in the blueprints or whatever.
Oh my God! But okay, so let's eject that, destroy it forever. It's gone. There we go. But I do still like the idea of the whales mattering in the future. The problem is I have no ideas on that one. The closest thing I was coming up to was related to where the probe came from, and that made okay.
So there's a couple of ways you could go with that. Actually, where the probe came from, or even the Xindi. Maybe
someone Valerian actually brought up the Xindi as well as an earlier idea. So
it's not against the idea to have them smart enough to maybe the probe did something to him. Maybe the probe made them intelligent enough to be an actual species to interact with. And they become another species from Earth, and they clone themselves, I guess, because they can't survive off of two of them. But that's an option too.
I'm not against the idea of that mattering. If we're going to do that, the way I'm thinking is that would be... So there's several episodes. Obviously, we're going through series after this. TNG, DS9 would be the big ones, because Voyager's kind of busy. But in TNG and DS9, what we could do is anytime... This is an idea I've had before. I haven't just brought it on camera yet. Anytime we run into an episode which is just we can basically just destroy that episode and replace it with a completely new episode we have our own idea on. like say
So-
something to do with the Zindi.
We're getting rid of the entirety of Next Generation season 1. Jesus.
No, not the whole thing. Just 23 episodes. No, but you get my idea. Just absolutely wrecking.
Anything that is just not even just there's nothing salvageable.
Yeah, there's no, either it's a terrible episode or it's a boring episode. One of the two problems, and then just replacing that. So this could then lead to the Zindi, and and Tesla's correct. We could also have shades of this back in season 1, and by season 1 I mean Enterprise. I have no idea why I said season 1 there. Back in Enterprise, maybe something to do with the Sphere Builders and their interactions with the Zindi, and they specifically reference how the Federation will enslave your people in the future, referencing and showing them footage of the whales being in Starfleet and being part of the Federation, and fake newsing it and making it look like they're enslaved rather than the fact that they're members of the Federation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And thus, of course, by the time we see that, since Enterprise would come last in terms of viewing order, we the viewers would know with total certainty that that's a complete lie, and we would understand how they're lying and why. So I think that kind of thing could line up.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. With it. I'd be down with that. Also, you're not throwing out a single episode of early Star Trek Enterprise, because they are all gems, I tell you.
He
gems.
He has to meet his friends. He has to talk to his friends.
I'm just saying, there's a couple of episodes of Enterprise season 1 that I would be cool with completely destroying. Actually, I had an idea.
I'm sorry, I just did Unexpected for my Enterprise Rewatch podcast. What a joyous discussion.
Which one was
That was the one where Trip gets pregnant.
Oh my god.
That one angers me to know.
I'm not.
Oh, I really rewatched it too, and I was like,
fan-
the first 20 minutes are like, this is fine, and then the last one was like, oh, that nosedive.
The fan reaction. No, it's okay. It's okay to get people pregnant without their knowledge and then mock them for
Oh
it.
yeah,
No, that's great.
totally fine.
That's fantastic. That's another thing that fans defend. Oh my god, it makes me mad. People will defend it on this channel.
Anyways, let's.
Can we just? All I'm going to say.
I'd rather talk about the chopped off head of the baby. I'm sorry.
I will give my opinion on that episode sometime around, I think, next April. You probably can tell by my expression exactly how my thoughts on that episode.
Well, we'll end it with this because we don't want to stay on that if it's making anyone uncomfortable. But that episode sucks.
That episode's that's a great summary.
It's fine. It
WTF.
It's not. So there's, just to clarify my position, it's more that people don't see it for what it is, in my opinion, because I think it's quite clearly that. When you take into what they were trying to do, you can accept it kind of for what it is. You know what I'm saying? They never meant for it to be what it came out as, I think. So I don't know.
Unfortunately, I would agree. I say unfortunately because it just shows how little thought was being put into some of that show. No one's anyone who likes Enterprise, including me, by the way.
I like Enterprise too, but I think it's just it was Brandon Braga just being having to do way too much shit.
God! But it was 16 episodes in a row by Braga.
But
in season 1,
it's
after being burnt out of 6 seasons,
after being burnt out on Voyager, after being burnt out on TNG, and the movies, by the way.
Mm-hmm. The only thing to it too, I think, is it's just I think it's an easy change. Like if you just make him knowledgeable to a degree about what's going on, and then I think it's not a good episode, but it still makes it better. If we don't want my thought on it is if you make him knowledgeable, sure, but it's not. The problem isn't necessarily that the issue at hand; it's that the episode just laughs at him. Archer literally
it's a joke,
holding back chuckles, and it's the idea of him not consenting, of this being something that was thought to those are actually intriguing ideas that could have been delved into if they had given it appropriate weight, like they do with the rape metaphor to Paul in Fusion. That's actually given appropriate. It's still mishandled a little bit, but it's better handled there. But it's just literally played as a joke with Archer literally chuckling to himself the entire time. And
don't forget, T'Pol also makes fun of.
She makes jokes at him. Yeah.
It's that just made it even worse. It's just every angle he's just getting it. It's
yeah. That's the real problem. It's the idea is intriguing, but the fact that it's a joke just pisses me off.
Well, it was supposed to be a comedy episode, and
I was.
Yeah,
roaring with laughter at it. Oh yeah,
that's my thing. That's why I don't necessarily get mad at who wrote it. It's just a bad idea. We all do bad jokes or make bad ideas and stuff like that. It's just people's reactions to it or trying to defend it. I wasn't even talking about the episode itself. When I get into that episode, people, it's like the Discovery thing. It's like, oh my god. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, anyways,
it's Runner's favorite episode. That's just fact.
Why do you make up? Anyway, so
it's not me. It's the footage I'm going to have right after this that says it. I don't know why.
That's true. You're just going to be ready to go with all this. Runner absolutely loves whatever that episode name is.
Unexpected. Yeah.
Unexpected.
I just watched it like a week because I do a Star Trek Enterprise rewatch podcast, and that was up there.
Plug. You should go watch her.
Sorry, I don't mean to.
No. Plug. Do it.
Yeah, it's Patreon exclusive, so you have to be a Patreon to get it. So
remember, you can Patreon 1 cent. Don't actually do that.
Where do they go? Where do they go, Jesse? Or will I?
Patreon.com/Jessie Gender.
Okay, I'm just saying, if I do it, I'm going to build it up, and you won't like it. It'll be the biggest thing people ever seen. It'll be huge.
Oh God! Don't use that accent to promote me.
It'll be. Let me tell you.
Anyways.
Let me tell you. The best channel I go to, not just me, but other people tell me this. Not just me, but other people, is Jessie Gender's channel. I really like it. I think it's top notch. She's a winner.
I'm the one that's uncomfortable.
If you really want to, you got to tilt that up. If you're gonna, my personal favorite channel.
Oh God! Oh God!
Oh my God! I love watching her late at night while I'm falling asleep.
Well, now I just want to quit YouTube altogether.
Oh man. Okay. Anyway, what were you talking about?
We're done.
We did it.
We have finished.
We've been ranting about Enterprise.
Anybody?
Mission accomplished, boys.
I just want. Can we have that species, the rock sex species, appear in Star Trek 4?
That's
what we should do. From
Oh
Unexpected.
yeah. The no, first of all, but the Horta were supposed to be in Star Trek 4.
Really?
I found this out when I was studying TOS, actually. Huh. The Horta, there was actually supposed to be a Horta there, and they had budget issues, because if you remember, Star Trek 4 had a really, really limited budget, and so they just kind of had to make do with what they had, and that's why that got cut. But I think they totally should be there.
Yes, they should be, number one. And number two is, like, they didn't have budget for a fucking rock creature.
Okay, that may sound strange, but again, having just gone through TOS, that was actually one of the more expensive and complex aliens they ever made on that show.
I guess so, yeah.
It was I forget the name of the gentleman. Please forgive me. He's a very talented gentleman, and he was approached by the producers to say, make an alien and we'll make a show about it. And he walked in with that suit, and they're like, this is pathetic and stupid. And then he showed how he could move in it and how he could animate with it and how he could, and he like took a rock and would move, and the rock came with him, and then he left behind an egg, and he just did all this stuff, and they're like, this is really good. How much was this? Oh, well, how many do we need? Well, we just have the one. Okay, so let's use that one, and let's make an episode. And they wrote that episode around it.
It's one of the best episodes of all of Star Trek, so, yeah.
No, yeah, I'm totally with it. I like to call that seminal Star Trek right there. If you want to know what Star Trek is in one episode, that's a good episode to watch.
Yep, I definitely agree.
So, anyways, if anybody has any thoughts for Star Trek 5, we're going to be pondering that for the next few weeks. I have a pretty strong idea of where I want to go with that. Reloaded knows my general ideas. I'll tell Jessie in a minute. But then we get to the big one, Star Trek 6, and then we get to start rewriting the really fun stuff, which is obviously Lower Decks.
Yeah.
That's where we're starting.
Gonna start right there.
Right there. We're gonna start with the dog episode. The best episode. You remember that, Jessie? The one with the dog?
Oh yeah.
Oh god,
that should be a main character. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I love how they just this completely doesn't matter, but how they become normalized to what the dog does. Like the dog will walk by and just turn into like a brick or whatever, or turn into like a block, and they just keep talking.
That moment is my favorite in all of Lower Decks. The dog just goes by and just turns into a block, and they're just like, all right.
They're just used to it. They pause for a second, and then they continue the conversation. Like it's just. I love it so much. Lower Decks is fun.
Lower Decks is great.
All right, so guys, thanks so much. Definitely check out Jessie Gender, one of the best channels. Definitely go and
watch her late at night.
Watch her late at night.
Sorry,
Let's
I'm
go.
sorry.
On the let me tell you, she's great. She's a winner. Go to patreon.com/Jessie Gender is what we said, I think, and give her like all the money because she loves it when we talk about that.
Just all of it. I love money. Capitalism, wonderful.
I love capitalism too.
Also, Star Trek, yay!
That's why I like CBS use something that promotes communism to make an ton of money on the capitalist market. So, don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe on my side. And check out Lore Runner. He's okay too, I guess.
Hey,
Lore Runner.
fine.
Go to lorerunner.com.
Go to Lore Runner. He's great.
He's great. He's huge. He's huge. Gonna be a running mate. That's why he lost, because he didn't have Runner. Oh, Runner doesn't want to do anything with politics. He doesn't like that at all. Look at his face.